With all the price moves that we're watching right now in the crypto market, it makes a lot of sense to watch these assets, especially when you do look at XLM, an asset in the payment sector. You're watching that we saw the bullish divergence. Now it's attempting to break through this bull flag. And if it does, that kind of shows a little bit of deviation from other assets. What do I mean? You pick up XLM to Ether and you want to compare it with XRP to Ether. Now, on the XLM to Ether side, you're already watching hidden bullish divergence coming in. And that's not a surprise while the bullish divergence is still valid on the USD chart. So this is your local bottoms, which I've been plotting. Now watch what you're doing with respect to those bottoms. Yeah, you've been putting in lower lows, whereas the price was putting in higher lows. So you kind of get that difference. Now, when you shift that to a weekly chart, you kind of get the idea that it is in a consolidative phase after a big pop, which is normal, which is neutral. Now we go on to the XRP side of the equation and you pick up XRP to Ether. This is where you need to put in a little bit more time and watch this. Your first low is in here, which means the comparison with the lows will come based on this low. So you have a lot of room, plenty of room to play out. Now, say there are assets which has been very volatile, I mean highly volatile. Just yesterday, Casper was moving like crazy. I mean, watch, last week it went up 100%. And again, this week it went up 100% more. So what really is happening? What's the volume like? What can you really understand from these altcoins? Let's kind of dive deep into them. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the now retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. Look at the last 48 hours. We've been posting like crazy, going through the market in and out to give you guys almost all the charts as much as possible so that you are aware of the current situation. And right now, we're watching this family being the best in the market. Now, put it into a Heikin-Ashi chart, and this kind of gives you a little bit more strength of understanding where we are in this cycle, especially on the starting phase. Usually when you see the RSI trying to re-enter into the overbought region, that's a good sign. That's a perfect sign in my opinion. You usually go for another local high. So maybe it's attempting to do that based on a 3-day chart. So if we actually go on to a weekly chart, it's not actually picking it up. Let me put that into daily. Oh, daily is showing you something, that's okay. Now the daily close is critical and important. If you put that onto a line chart, you're watching that the price is above here, but the RSI is not. So that does mean on a daily, it's starting to show you the odds of a negative divergence. Now, when you step onto a 3-day, it's not. So you know what's going to happen. Recently, we actually talked about Popcat before the current rally to the upside, showing you, okay, there was a negative divergence in here. But what happened with local negative divergence? I mean, short-term negative divergence. It was, I think, on a 12-hour chart where it showed you the negative divergence. It consolidated for around 10 to 12 days, and then boom, it went up. So assets where heavy volatility is coming in and still exchanges and whales are using that, you kind of get to see, okay, short term, it does mean like maybe you're going to make a local top, but then you are going to correct. So that's the daily chart. Fine. Now, if I pick this up into another exchange, maybe Mexi, I get to see almost similar picture. I go to KuCoin, I get similar picture. So yeah, I think the majority kind of aligns very well with the negative divergence idea on a daily. Whereas on a 3-day, it's still going up. How do you look at that? You put it onto a Ranko chart. When you do put that on a Ranko chart on a 3-day, it usually signals something. When it's green, you're not selling. Especially when you look at it on a daily chart, and if it's green, you're like, there is no way I'm selling this. Yeah. The best way is on the weekly holding it. So right now the weekly has not yet shifted. So it's still at the bottom. Some people, when they are arguing, are we at the top? I'm like, no. To know that, you need to be on a monthly and a weekly. And they say, no, you are somewhere at the bottom, not anyway close to the top, right? So this is how you kind of judge that. Now you can put that onto a Popcat chart and you see this. At 3-day, it's going up. What did we say when we were at the bottom, right? This is what happens and what means to be a part of the best crypto team, the best crypto family. So those who are riding this asset from the bottom with me, changing one by one, you now know what's really into it. So you put that onto a Heikin-Ashi chart and you kind of get the taste of it. Yeah. Daily is starting to develop negative divergence, but 3-day is showing you bullish. Now, what matters the most when a 3-day chart is suggesting you that I'm entering the overbought region? Because historically speaking, when you do put that into the factor, you kind of say, okay, sometimes I go to 100%, sometimes I go 100, 150, but that's a decent move, isn't it? I mean, a 100% move is not a bad move from here. So say I'm to plot this. This is the resistance, which means any break to the upside here in Popcat, an asset like that in the MEM segment, like the infrastructure segment, it's going to be, crazy era where we see, utility assets are not doing anything, but these MEMs are doing something, right? Now, all you need to care about as an investor at this phase of the cycle is to look for where the capital is moving and use it. Now, pick up Ether and ask the same question. We talked about this pattern. We told you to buy, and I told you and I showed you I'm buying in here based on the bullish divergence. Now watch, from that $1,500 region, you actually went up to 2,600, and it's still not over. It's slowly going up. Look at the MACD. It's suggesting you that something is happening. So Heikin-Ashi is going to be that best indicator, and if you have way more patience, then you opt for Ranko charts, because Ranko charts actually give you the idea clearly. Whenever you have seen these kind of long wicks and a reversal, especially in a chart like Ether, whether it's at the bottom or it's at the top, you kind of get the taste. Okay, that's the reversal. I'm going somewhere until I show you the opposite. So right now, that's not showing you the opposite, which is great. That means you have time to see this asset going up. Now, put it on a daily, it shows you this. So on a 3-day, it's just reversing, which kind of means on a weekly, you're still at the bottom, just starting to push higher. So these kind of tools, it should help you massively. Now, I want to take you to the candlesticks part of this for Bitcoin. Now, before we wrap it up, Bitcoin and its valuation in the market makes a lot of sense, especially when you do look at Bitcoin and this idea. What you're watching and trying to understand in here is, okay, Bitcoin is coming back up to the all-time highs region. I've been arguing about that, saying maybe 105, maybe 109. We're going to come somewhere close to that while we were still here at the lows. Now, that argument combined with the Bitcoin dominance chart now makes a lot of sense, because you're breaking that pattern to the downside. And it's not only that it is breaking that pattern to the downside, but also from this high to this high to this high, the price was going up in Bitcoin dominance terms, yeah? But now watch the RSI. It was going down, yeah? It didn't come back up. So you do have a negative divergence, which is one. And then along with that, when you do watch these kind of indicators, you kind of watch, okay, that's a breakout to the downside. Crazy shit. Now, where is your support for that? This region of 54 is that support. Now, if you put that into perspective, what you have to ask yourself is a 12% drop in the Bitcoin dominance means what? Good. Now we come up here, pick up the November-December run. That's almost close enough. Now, what we're missing is the top here. If you do plot that, that's 15. Which is my argument of saying like, okay, some of these coins, the assets, they're going to run bigger than what we saw back in November, December. Now, I'll put my argument. Say, for example, we'll use the same chart of Casper, which we used earlier, so that, I retain all of the other value with the SR family itself. So I'll put it on a KuCoin chart. Now watch. The base idea here on a Japanese candlesticks look like what? It seems like you're reversing, agreed, but it seems like the wave one and its correction. Now, once wave one and its correction happens, historically speaking, what comes next? The wave two. Now, usually wave two gives you clear signal of the 1, 2, 3, and some way you'll show the ABC. Now, what happens with such volatile assets is that it kind of plays with your emotion. It kind of plays a lot with your capital. So unless you are pretty confident enough on taking these as a challenge, it's going to be stressful to see the breakout, to see the retest, to see the bounce. It is going to be hard. Now, those who were well educated with the charts I provided, they came in at the bottom. They already kind of doubled their money. Some even tripled their money. Now, the idea is not to FOMO in when the price is going up, rather to get out when the price is pumping crazy and when it's dumping crazy. Yeah, the blood in the streets. That's where you think, oh, okay, fine. On a macro chart, this looks bullish. On a micro chart, it is dropping heavy. So what should I do? So one of the arguments in here is this was the max volume for buying. The price stopped. This was a max volume for selling. What do you think? These are the base arguments which you have to make in the market. Now, say you're a price structure guy. Say you are a price pattern guy. Now, you're arguing this. Watch, this is a bull flag. Perfect. You broke higher, you're retesting, now you should continue. So this is kind of that standard deviation factor in the market which can be pressed out. But in general, before you actually jump out of this video, I want to make sure that you have the discipline to ride this wave till the top. Now, why am I saying that? Because when you put this onto a 3-day chart, it kind of gives you the base idea that, okay, the market is still pushing to the upside. There is no slowdown in here. The volume is still bullish. The price is still pushing to the upside. Now we put it on a weekly and you see, there is a pivot point. Yeah, the price is still making higher highs, higher lows. And what you're watching for a reversal, the swing, the twist, is that, okay, it's now putting in a lower high wherever it goes. So you get the 1, you get the 2, you get the 3. If that's what's happening, fine. Okay, that's your lower high. And if you do have a negative divergence in here, perfect. That is going to be a time to exit. Now, how can you visualize that? Yeah, one of the easy part here is to think. You saw this before, right? The price going up just like this. And then what? The RSI going down. Perfect. So you kind of got the two negative divergence and its extension at the same time. So you combine them and use it. Now, while the momentum still exists, you need to follow the momentum. That usually gives you the advantage in this market. So watch the Heikin-Ashi chart. When it's green, I told you the first green in here, that usually when it turns green, it stays green for a few weeks. And 7 out of 10 times you get momentum. In here, we are already getting that momentum. Now, go on to a 3-day, it's still green and it's approaching 70 plus. Now, why does that matter? Whatever happens before that 70 plus, it's just kind of the starter. But the moment you enter 70 plus region on a 3-day chart, Heikin-Ashi, that means now you're riding. So in here, you saw that now you're getting very close. So one by one, when you reach those territories, you need to make sure you kind of get the negative divergence before you exit. Price goes high, RSI disagrees, you take that as a word and you exit, right? So for the SR family, be a part of this and get all of these charts on a single platform, single access. Yeah, so use the link in the description below, jump into the Scientific Investor family with 1,700 members are readily taking benefit of this. This market is going to be rewarding if you know where to look for and what to look for. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, do that for me. I'll meet you guys in the next video. Bye for now.